I just wonder, like, how do you make this work when your guy continues to seem to have problems with how he's coached? Welcome to the Basket Buds edition of the Athletic NBA Show podcast on the Athletic Podcast Network. I'm your host, Zach Harper. We're a little undermanned today. The Pistons have practice, so no James Edwards III. Jay King is in Ireland, which, I mean, sure, it's middle of the NBA season. The team he covers is number one in the league, but yeah, he's in Ireland. Like that's just good scheduling right there. How could he have possibly known the season would still be going on? And
he's scouting, man. Apparently, he's scouting. He's on his Adam Sandler.
He's out there. He's looking for his next obsession, which will just whoever the next white player is.
We never knew Jay King was Stanley Sugarman.
Terrible name for a character, by the way.
Wow.
Stanley Sugarman. But we got Trevon Edwards, we got Mo Dakhil, we got Dave DeFord producing. We got a fun show for you today. We'll talk about that ridiculous Kings Clippers game, even though Jay King is in Ireland with his wife on vacation scouting. Maybe we will have a Kings minute from him. We'll talk about this whole Trae Young, Quin Snyder situation. But I want to start with Saturday night. So we're recording this Sunday morning out on the West Coast, and Suns Bucks is about to tip off. But Saturday night, we had a game between the Celtics and the Sixers. And the Sixers storm ahead in the third quarter, right? Or the first half and then early into the third quarter. And I think I saw they were up 15 at one point, maybe 16. Like they were coming along. I want to say it was like maybe 68 to 52 at one point. And then Jaylen Brown starts making some plays. Jaylen Brown starts playing. Jason Tatum's having a tough night. Jaylen Brown takes over. Al Horford gets hot. Celtics storm back, and now we got a game. We got a great game back and forth. It looks like the Celtics are now going to run away with it. And the Sixers, when I thought, I legitimately was like, man, James Harden has kind of lost his energy in this one. Joel Embiid was like slow up the floor, and it got a great bounce pass from Jaylen Brown to Robert Williams III for a transition dunk. And I was like, okay, this is slipping away from the Sixers. And no, I was wrong. They come back. They find a little bit of energy. They take it down to the last possession. And so on the last possession, we have an inbounds pass with about a little less than 6 seconds left, right? And Derek White's the trigger man. The whole play design is Jason Tatum is in the backcourt. Get him on the move, catching the ball, see what he can do, right? Derek White inbounds the ball to Marcus Smart, who's somewhere between the inbound and the half-court lines, like about 35, 36 feet away from the basket, right? And as he catches the ball, Tatum takes off, and Marcus Smart delivers a beautiful bounce pass to Tatum. So Tatum's got a couple of situations here that he can navigate. He can go straight to the rack, except who's lurking there? Who was guarding the inbounder? Who's now floated into the corner? That's Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid starts getting towards the paint. Like, you're not going to come in here and dunk this, right? I'm going to clog this up, and we'll see if we have to recover. So he does that, which is what you're supposed to do. Tatum finds that. He's got a little bit of momentum against DeAnthony Melton, who's defending him, who almost steals that ball, by the way. Almost steals that pass. Like, he became so close to knocking that away. But just, again, a great pass by Marcus Smart. And at this point, all right, Tatum takes the momentum of Melton. He snatches that thing back behind the three-point line, knocks down the shot. Unbelievable, right? Like, just what a great play design, great play execution, great shot making, even like still good defense by everybody, except what the fuck was James Harden doing? Look at that. Like, so when Marcus Smart delivers the bounce pass, he is now floated up the court. He's roughly 44 feet away from the basket. James Harden is up on him. Marcus Smart is not a good three-point shooter. He's 44 feet away from the basket. And by the way, he has his back turned to the basket. There is no position unless James Harden is worried. I've seen the Globetrotters run this play before. He's got a hook shot with his back to the basket from half court, and that's going in. Or he's worried that like Rocky, the Nuggets mascot, is going to descend from the rafters and shoot one of those over the back half-court shots and knock it down. Where's the help? What is he defending? I know it's James Harden. I know if you're a James Harden fan, you're going to let me know, well, his post defense, but unless Marcus Smart's going to post him up there from 44 feet away, I do not understand what happens there. Like, Mo, what is James Harden doing? I know he's doing James Harden things, but at the same time, I don't know if he would have stopped Tatum. I don't know what he could have affected, but that was not the right play. And I'm like, you're 14 years into your career. What kind of decision is this?
I mean, this is James Harden defensively. My bigger, I mean, we've seen this for 13 years, Zach. Why are you thinking we're going to see something different in the 14th season?
I mean, come on.
But bigger question. It's an end of game defensive possession. It's a tied game. Why is Harden on the court?
That's what I was going to hit on.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. No timeouts, right?
That's fine.
Just
you go to overtime.
I don't see James. I understand the offensive side of it and his strength on that end, but the time is not in your favor. So you want to get you want to own in on the stop, right? And even though basketball players have brain farts, right? In the action mode. But once the bounce pass is made, he should have released.
Yeah.
He's still hugging Marcus Smart like
at half court.
No, he had front row seat. He's watching. The watchers watch. You know what I mean? So I do agree with Mo. I do agree with Mo. Shouldn't have been on the floor because it's after timeout situation. You put the best defenders out there, which they got rid of Matisse. They got rid of a couple people that normally would probably be haggling on that situation. Marcus Smart, I still don't know how that pass got there because it still could have been deflected. Yeah. It's the ball me man. But it got in there. It was a excellent play call by Mazzulla and company. And Tatum, he struggled, and the one that really mattered counted. You know what I mean? So, I don't think this is just Doc Rivers though. I think this has been a problem with the NBA in general. As far as coaches trusting their guys to close it out instead of making the right call.
Yeah,
maybe it's some stuff like, do I want to deal with it? You know what I mean? Do I want my star player mad that he's not closing this game out? But then it's also some accountability of like, look, that's like us playing pickup ball, and I'm like, point game,
right?
Yo, Zach. I understand. Even if I get beat, stay home. Yeah. Stay home, Mo. Do not help. And you're like, okay, I got it. I heard what you said. And you move off the way because you see me get slightly beat. Just a second. And that's a zip and your man scores.
And also, there was no chance Tatum was passing
at all.
Maybe if Embiid converges and Harden converges, and it's not going to be a true triple team, maybe he kicks it to White in the quarter. Maybe. But Tatum is like I'm giving that like a 10% chance, like 90% chance that thing was going up.
Yeah, and I'm not even trying to say selfishly. I mean, he had a massive tip in. During crunch time and things like that. Like he was beginning to kind of get going.
He picked it up in the fourth quarter. Like he was good. Yeah.
Yeah, he got going. So he felt confident in that sense. That's why I'm like, the moment it got to him, I was like, well, this shot's going up. We'll see how good it is. But you also have Jaden McDaniels you traded for. Like just a defensive player right there. Just throw him out there in that instance and hope for the best. It's just anything's going to be better than
Jaden McDaniels is a defensive player. Is Jalen McDaniels a defensive player?
Mix them up, fair enough. But
I mean,
anything's better than Harden.
That's fair.
Yeah, but I still look at it like it's not a bad shot in its situation with 5 seconds to go.
No.
As the guy, you have to take it even if you don't want to take it. And it kind of, obviously we're gonna talk about Jay King's Kings a little bit later. I'm gonna get a chance to hit on that play that happened before we even got to overtime. We'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll get to
that one. There's a lot there. But the shot itself was great. And that play call is awesome. We've actually seen it run a couple, just Friday night, the Pistons ran it against Orlando and got Jaden Ivey a 3 to tie the game. They ended up losing. But like that action where you just have your best player coming with a full head of steam. Good luck. Imagine doing that against Memphis, and Ja coming full head of steam.
What was Harden worried about? Like, he's like, well, if Marcus Smart catches this at 30 feet with his feet set, I mean, like, my God, like,
if Marcus Smart catches it with 30 feet with his feet set, Doc is going, yes, yes.
If Marcus Smart beats you on a spot up 3, so be it.
You live with it, but it was a great game, to be honest.
It was fun, man. Because I really thought the Sixers had blown it. I was like, oh man, they're done. Like they fought back. Like, to their credit, they fought back. And then Embiid hits the 3/4 court shot just after time expired. I mean, I thought he got off in real time. It was like bang bang, but I thought he got it off. And so here's my idea, Mo, because it doesn't count. At first, I was like, because I'll admit, in real time, I didn't pay attention to what James Harden did, right? It was on the replay. Right. Hell is going on here? What are you doing? What is this decision, right? So at first I was like, man, that should count. That should count. I don't care that it was after the buzzer. Count it, go to overtime. And then when I saw what Harden did on the previous, I was like, nah, man, that's it. But I figured this out. I think there should be a rule. And I know people are going to think this is stupid. I don't care. I love stupid rules. I think if you get a shot off within 0.3 of a second after the buzzer, it should count. If it sends it to overtime, you go to overtime, and then you start the overtime down 3. So you get your extra period to play, but you're at a deficit now. I know it's stupid. I don't care. I wanted more of that game. That's my way of justifying it.
That's all you wanted. Okay,
yeah,
fair
that's
enough.
all I wanted. I know it's a dumb idea. I don't need you to tell me that, but that's what I want. I think that's fun. We want to make some rule changes that bring like actual basketball to mattering. Do that instead of all these replay reviews.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on the replay reviews going too much.
Yeah.
Rule, a little bit weird. Needs some
it's stupid.
tweaking,
Oh, it's a stupid rule.
You need some work. You need some work.
No, just as is. I don't want to. No, I don't want to overthink it. I don't want to think about, well, what if it was a game-winning shot? I don't want to think of any of that. Just in that situation.
I would say a 3/4 court or half court shot.
Yeah, it's got to be beyond half court. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in on that. That's
unless
fine.
It's Steph Curry.
But yeah, it's not fair. He's cheating. Yeah. And Dame for that matter.
Yeah, Dame too.
Both of those guys. But the bigger problem for the Sixers was every time Joel Embiid went to the bench, it was over. Like the Celtics would go on a massive run. Everything with that, they had no answers for Al Horford in the third quarter, who hit 4 threes and was going completely ballistic. Like, this is a preview for the playoffs for the Sixers. What are you going to do when Joel Embiid goes to the bench? Because the game was lost there, to be honest. Like, there's no other. Their starters are in, I think, all plus and the plus minus.
I mean, he was really good. He lost some steam in that fourth quarter, right? Like, he rallied and he made some plays, but there was a point in that fourth quarter where I thought, oh man, he's cooked. Like, he's just like, he doesn't have that energy anymore. And you're right. I think it's because every time he's on the floor, he has to be that guy.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem. Like, it's, he builds a lead, the reserves lose it, and now he's got to bring them back and build a lead again. Like, it's just like at a certain point, it's exhausting. And I think we've seen this from the Sixers before, actually, pretty much ever since Embiid's been there. And it's just, they can't seem to find a backup center for them.
Yeah, it's shocking that last year DeAndre Jordan didn't work.
Shocking.
Yeah. I mean, look, in a game they lose by 3, he's +8 in 40 minutes. Like, in 40 minutes, he's +8.
What else can you ask for? I mean, PJ Tucker was +21.
Yeah. I mean, it really was just the bench just screwed them. And a lot of that was in that end of third quarter, start of the fourth quarter. Like, they couldn't stop the bleeding.
And 40 minutes is a ton for Embiid. Yeah, like, you really can't ask him to play more than that. And I mean, that's probably close to playoff minutes. And it's, that's just too much at that point. It's like, they just don't have anything. You know, Paul Reed was really bad. Trez didn't even play. I just think they have a lot of issues.
I think
there, and that's, well, yeah, fair enough. But like, they don't even just have anybody they could throw out there and hope it'll work out.
Yeah, no, they really don't. But yeah, man, it's been a fun basketball weekend.
It's great basketball this weekend. I don't know.
Yeah, it's been really good so far.
I mean, there's great energy coming off that subpar All-Star game.
Yeah, no shit. I guess they saved all the energy for the basketball that came after it.
Today's show is brought to you by Run Your Pool. Visit play.runyourpool.com/NBA show to win $1,000. Run Your Pool is the home of competition, bringing sports fans and their friends together to connect and compete. Run Your Pool has over 50 game types for every sport you can think of. It's a one-stop shop for sports gaming. With over 2 million players, there's no better place to run your bracket for your friends, family, or office. And with the madness coming, we've decided to team up with Run Your Pool to give you guys a chance to compete in a bracket challenge. It's super simple. You know how this works. You fill out your picks for all 68 teams in the tournament, and you get points for each pick you get right. Run Your Pool is giving away $1,000 for the top 5 finishers, and you get to compete against us to show how much you know ball. I almost forgot the best part. It's completely free to play. So head over to play.runyourpool.com/NBA show, and don't forget to get your picks in when the bracket is live March 12th. That's play.runyourpool.com/NBA show to win $1,000.
Something that has not been great basketball, the Atlanta Hawks. It's been rough, man. It has been just all right. I have a theory, and I recognize it's going to sound stupid on the surface, but I actually believe in this. This isn't like the overtime
conspiracy
rule.
theory hour,
No, not conspiracy theory,
or just crazy idea hour.
It's not. No, it's not that. It's you shouldn't have done this.
Okay.
The Hawks should not have gone to the conference finals 2 years ago. They made a mistake by going to the conference finals, and part of that is the Sixers problem because the Sixers collapsed. Part of that's Ben Simmons. Part of that's Embiid and all the Doc Rivers, all that. But it threw expectations out of whack. It threw things to a situation where the Hawks thought they were further along than they are. And we heard from Trae Young last year about how it's hard to get up for these games when you've been in the conference finals. And we've talked about, like, buddy, that's the job. Like, that's what it's supposed to be, right? And we saw what happened with them finally firing Nate McMillan this past week. And it looks like they're going to replace him with Quin Snyder. As of this recording, nothing is done yet, but it looks like that's the hire, right? And so, Trae, I want to ask you, in terms of this Hawks scenario, where do we put Trae Young in all of this? Because he's talking about, like, he's making public comments like, hey, I'm not involved in all that stuff. I have no, I don't want to, like, I just do my job and everything. It's not really true, right? But publicly, I don't think he has to admit to everything that's going on either. He also said, like, I just let you guys, talk about media and everything. Like, I just let you guys, like, make up your own stories and then, whatever. And I don't think he necessarily has to set us straight on what's going on behind the scenes either. Like, again, that's in-house stuff. And he seems like the kind of guy that wants to keep that stuff in-house. But there is a leadership problem throughout this entire organization. And I don't doubt Trae Young's talent. I don't doubt his impact on the floor. I just wonder, like, how do you make this work when your guy continues to seem to have problems with how he's coached?
I think it's the star cadence, though, right? And although a couple coaches got fired under Devin Booker's watch, but this is similar, right? You got a very good basketball player who's on the cusp of being an all-star. He's been an all-star, luckily, early on in his career, unlike Devin had to go through a couple growing pains in the tough West, right? But sometimes just because you're a star player doesn't mean you're a great leader.
That's
true.
Yeah.
You see the culture shifted when they got Monty Williams, a coach who could also lead a team to battle, but also landed a coach on the floor in Chris Paul. So now that relieves all duties, right? You trade for DeJounte Murray. You got John Collins, who you've been dangling for the past
since he got drafted.
He's already on the trade block for next season. Like, it's
not. What I mean? So there's tons of inconsistencies. There's no vet in the locker room. There's no accountability. Nate McMillan did his best at the job. Obviously, there's some conflict. Player always wins this situation. You know what I mean? But I think they need some real leadership over there. I'm not sure, but also it has to be someone Trae Young respects.
Right.
And that's a whole nother thing, because you can have a guy that's decorated and they clash. And it's like, well, this is my team. And although that, like, I mean, it comes with the star treatment of that's how it's a player's league. With Quin Snyder, maybe there will be some accountability, but then you also have to think about, is he going to buy in? Right?
Yeah.
There's a honeymoon stage. And luckily, if he is hired after this recording, the Hawks are home for 2 weeks. So that means you get practice time, you get some familiarity with guys, learning new sets and whatever whatever the vision is there in Atlanta, then they can potentially move forward. Like you mentioned, the whole lackluster involvement after making the conference finals. He's silly to think that way. Any sport is very difficult. I mean, LeBron James has been a very good basketball player for a very long time, and possibly on eyes made it 8 trips to the finals look normal. It was very difficult to do, whether win or lose.
Crazy, man. It's still
I don't think people give that enough credit for how absolutely absurd that is. He played like 3 extra seasons because of that.
Yeah. And that's the thing that you have to even think about on that behalf, right? And guys watching it don't appreciate it until they're in their moment. Or you're looking later on down your career. You think about Tracy McGrady's career, who's a very good scorer, very individual player, but really never made it outside the first round as the lead guy, and finally made it to the finals as a bench guy with the Spurs. He was hooking arms towards the end of his career. You know what I mean? So guys take that for granted because they think that it, they never look at the outside moment of it, right?
Right.
It's like you being the lead podcaster, and now you go to another network, and I'm like, Zach was holding me back, not understanding your gravity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I'm really good.
In the Trae Young Hawks situation, they don't respect the whole thing of looking at injuries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Team just kind of slipping up and getting caught.
Shit happening, right? Sometimes shit just happens. Right. Yeah.
It takes a little bit of luck. And I compared them to the Portland Trailblazers making it to the Western Conference Finals that one year. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like, hey, we got a team. It's like, no, this dude was out. This dude is out.
Yeah, exactly.
This dude is out. You guys are good. Don't get it wrong. I'm not taking away from your individual success, but look around and be honest with yourself. How was that season and what worked?
Right. So Mo, there was a sound. I did radio this morning. There was a sound that we played from last night from the Pacers game, and Rick Carlisle talked about Tyrese Halliburton, and he was like, he's like, this is him. Like he calls about 98% of the plays out there, which to think of Rick Carlisle allowing a point guard to call all those, like that percentage of plays. If he had said 9% of the plays out there, I'd be like, nah, man, that's too high. Like that's
a young point guard too.
Yeah. And this is a young point guard. Like this is how highly he thinks of him. Right. And so he allows Tyrese Halliburton to kind of call that out. And I know Trae Young, by all accounts, likes to call out what they're going to do. If they're bringing in Quin Snyder, who has a fucking encyclopedia for a playbook, it's like Quin Snyder has anytime I've talked to, like when I was in Salt Lake City, and anytime I talk to people about Quin Snyder, opposing coaches, they're like, man, we have to do so much prep because of how extensive that playbook is. Quin Snyder, I don't know that he's necessarily a control freak in the same way that a Rick Carlisle is, but he's gonna want to find a balance between having his shit run, which probably happens more next season, right? Because that's going to be hard to implement everything when he takes over, assuming he takes over. But finding that balance of Trae gets to do what Trae wants to do, but we run what I want to run, that's going to be a really difficult thing. And I look at, I think you're going to see short-term improvements in terms of Quin Snyder taking over. I think it's a different mentality than a very kind of laid-back approach that Nate McMillan has even for an old school guy. But man, I look at that and I'm like, I like Quin Snyder as a coach. I don't know that that's the right mix.
We need AI voice creator to get Pat Bev to say Quin Snyder got some shit.
Yeah.
Quin Snyder got some shit.
No, he does. I think the important thing first, I think the offense he's got to bring is the early Jazz offense that he had, where the ball was flying around, everybody was moving and things like that. It kind of ended up being just a high pick and roll offense with Mitchell and Zach's favorite player, Rudy Gobert, in the whole towards the end of that run. But that's the important offense of it. I think Quin's a good coach for them. Because I think I think this is Trae's last chance as a Hawk player. Honestly, I think
does he give a shit about that though?
That's $1 million question, Zach. And I don't know however much he makes the question. Yeah. He might not. That's a whole other thing. But that's what the Hawks need to figure out. Yeah. Because listen, they got DeJounte Murray, and the move had to have been, you're going to be off ball more, but you got to be more involved when you're off ball. He's still doing the thing where he stands out at half court after he gives up the ball. And sure, now it's 4-on-4 because defenses are still guarding him, but it's also their best offensive player not involved in the action, where he's not an option anymore. And that becomes an issue for them. And then when DeJounte Murray doesn't have the ball, he's not as much of a threat, standing in the corner or whatnot, and it makes things difficult. Trae's got to realize it's time for that. I think Quin's going to be the right guy for this job. I think he's the guy it's going to get them moving, going to get their offense going. And again, it's so tough to do that in season this year. We'll see it next year more than anything else, but that's really the question. I think he's the guy, Zach. I think he's a good fit for them. He's who I probably would have been going for afterwards, but Trae's got to get serious about this stuff, where he's got to look at it going I got to be part of the team here. And I can't just be, the offense can't just be me high pick and roll the entire time. I think he's really good at it. It's unbelievable.
Dude, he's an incredible player.
Unbelievable. It's no question about it. It's not a shot at that, but you can't run it all game.
Right. And which I think Hawks fans or Trae Young fans will be like, oh, you guys are hating on everything. The thing is, we think he's so good that there's more depth to his game. Like if this was, I'm going to throw somebody under the bus here. If this was Monty Morris, right? Who I like a lot. But if we were demanding this out of Monty Morris, right? Like a very middle of the road point guard. Man, I feel
middle of the road.
Yeah, man, he's a solid starting point guard. I'm really shitting on a guy I like a lot, but it's the first name that came to my Monty. I'm sorry, but if this was Monty Morris and we're doing, you got to do this, you got to like, it would be fucking ridiculous, right? Ish Smith, fucking ridiculous to say things like this. Trae Young is so good, you do expect more out of him. You do want more for him because his talent is the type of player that can do special things on a grander scale than what we've seen, and just making a conference finals because Ben Simmons short-circuited and the Sixers shit themselves on national TV is not an accomplishment. It's just not. Like, especially after the last season and a half you've had, it's not an accomplishment anymore.
It's not even like they've built a bad team around him. I love the team itself.
This should work.
Bogdanovich, yes. Clint Capella as your role man, Okongwu coming off the bench. You have DeAndre Hunter. You have a lot of pieces around you.
And also, but Mo, real quick, just to cut you off, like it's not to put it all on Trae Young either. There are other issues within this organization, but you are the face of the franchise. And that's what the money is for.
And part of the problem is I think the franchise after the conference finals, they're not only did they start sipping on their own success and thinking that was enough. I think they just turned everything over to Trae and starting to cater to Trae at that point. And I felt like that's where a lot of stuff, they let him slide with some things and things like that.
I don't blame Trae for that. I blame the organization.
It's the organization's fault. Yeah, it's the organization's. That's exactly. I'm not Trae. You're letting me do this? Okay, no problem. Like that's not on Trae in that sense, right? And we've seen a ton of star players do it. But I think this is also a problem in the NBA. A lot of teams turn their organizations over to these guys too early, when they haven't had enough success and enough of a track record where you feel like, okay, this is sustainable and he gets it.
Also, there's maybe like 5 guys in the league that should have the organization turned over to him.
Yes.
Like that's the other problem, right?
I mean, we can go layers deep in this.
Yeah.
That's a whole other pod, I guess.
and I mean, no, it would definitely go into a whole nother pod because that falls into the superstar talk.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's tiers to it where you're just an all-star. And then there's also the development. You know what I mean? Like, not grow on the job. There's learn on the job.
Like
type
organizations set up these stars to fail, right? Like I kind of think that's what the Hawks have done here with Trae Young. But at the same time, like it's on he's got to be better. They've got to be better. I mean, shit, 3 months into the season last year, 2 months into the season last year, Travis Schlenk was like, I shouldn't have brought these guys back together. That's wild.
I mean, that was such an insane
he said it publicly.
Comment. That was such an insane comment with all of that. Like, it's just, like, okay. That's something for us to say. You don't admit it.
I know, man.
That's not out loud.
Yeah.
Today's show is brought to you by our friends at ExpressVPN. Visit expressvpn.com/ding for more information. You guys have heard me discuss the importance of having a VPN to protect your online privacy before. But choosing a VPN you trust is just as important. Now, I like to research our sponsors, and I like to only recommend brands that I believe in. And I can tell you, ExpressVPN is the best VPN on the market. Number one, they don't log your activity. Lots of other VPN services make money by selling your data to advertisers. ExpressVPN does not do this. Number two, ExpressVPN is fast. ExpressVPN uses Lightway, a new VPN protocol that they engineered to make user speeds faster than ever. The last thing you need to know about ExpressVPN is that it's easy to use. There are no technical skills required to get set up. You just launch the app, and in one click, you're covered. So protect yourself with VPN that I use and trust. Use our link, expressvpn.com/ding today, and get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/ding. Visit expressvpn.com/ding to learn more.
Oh my God. All right, let's get back to fun. I don't want to shit on Trae. I don't want to shit on Monty Morris. Monty, I'm so sorry. That was just uncalled for.
Yeah, it was mean.
I love him too. He's on my Wizards. Like, go Zardos.
That's why you went to him. Hold on. That's why you went to him. It's just because you watched the Wizards so much.
First team that popped into my mind, which is a look inside the psychosis of me. But all right, let's go to Friday night. And you're like, why are you talking about a Friday night game? All right, this is what I was doing. Okay, I was gonna go out. I was like, I'm feeling better. I've been a little worried about being sick or whatever, but I feel fine. Testing negative, good, right? I'm like, I'm gonna go out tonight, but Russ is debuting with the Clippers. Let's get against the Kings. This is an important game. This could have the 3 seed on the line. I'm going to watch the first half, just kind of check it out. And then I'm going to go out and then I'll, watch the rest sometime in the weekend. There were so many points in the first half. I was like, I can't. I'll go out later. It's still early, right? I was like, whatever. I'll go out later. Then when it was with 4 minutes left, if you I implore everybody, this is going to be in the Bounce newsletter, which you sign up for, theathletic.com/bounce. I'm highlighting this game because with 4 minutes left, you have to at least go back and watch that portion of the game. 4 minutes left in fourth quarter on through the double overtime, because the Clippers were up, I think,
14.
145 to 131. They're up 14, right? Again, regulation, 4 minutes left. The score is 145 to 131. An insane amount of points. And here's the crazy shit, Mo. I don't think it was bad defense. It wasn't good defense in that game, but the shot making, the level of shot making was just absurd. And then the Clippers, what De'Aaron Fox and the Kings have been able to do so much this season, they just turn it up in those clutch moments. And that's not even a clutch moment, right? You're down 14 with 4 minutes left, but they chip away. They force 4 straight turnovers. They're getting transition buckets. And all of a sudden it's a game, and holy shit. We end up with a 176-175 double overtime game, which the Kings come back and win. And it's one of my favorite games I've ever watched.
Ever. I mean, this is a classic.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
It was absolutely absurd. Zach, if you want another wrinkle to this, the power went out at my house during the second half.
Oh no!
And I jumped in my car. And for those that don't know, it's practically a monsoon in LA. This isn't LA rain. It was monsoon weather, hail and everything coming down. Yeah. I jump into my car to go drive to another house to go watch the rest of this game.
Look at you.
And I get there in time for just the 4 minute mark of the fourth quarter. Yeah. And I see the score and I'm like,
Yeah, you missed it.
The fun. Yeah. And then it just goes completely berserk after that with everything that goes. But the Clippers offense, Zach, those 4 turnovers back to back to back. I mean, Russ with a turnover at half court. PG gets stripped by De'Aaron Fox.
He throws a lazy pass.
Multiple times, by the way.
Yeah, multiple times. Yeah.
But throws one of the laziest passes the next possession down. And then Fox they get a fast break off of that. And then Norman Powell gets an offensive foul on the inbounds. I mean, 4 straight turnovers where it's the ball didn't even barely cross half court for the Clippers. And then just, Trae, I know you want to talk about it. Just talk about that play at the end of the fourth quarter, because, oh my God.
Well, where to start? I definitely want to shout out how positive, Russ's debut was.
I thought he played pretty well.
I see your face, Mo, but I'm trying to hit on these certain things.
I will respond.
I do have a problem with Ty Lue taking away Terrence Mann's minutes and reducing them to 18. I think he could have contributed a little bit more, especially down to closing out the game, ball handling responsibilities, and a little bit more, I don't know, seriousness or whatever, because they were very lazy. And the hardest thing is to keep a lead in this league. You know what I mean? But during that breakdown, it's not solely on Norman Powell, but he lost him for a split second in that corner to go, and he knocks down that 3 to send into OT. But there's just so many different plays. Obviously, games aren't decided off of one play. The Clippers just got so cozy, and De'Aaron Fox showed why he was selected an all-star. He should have not even been he should have been a straight up. He should have been a straight up. Yeah. He had earned it. And they competed. And then obviously Malik Monk, out of his world performance off the bench. He was just making stuff. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just honestly, this game is cool, but I just want to see him score 200 points.
Yeah. Dude, I was so mad we didn't get a third overtime. I was so mad.
It would have been amazing.
Oh, it would have been great.
But Trae, just first off, you have to foul automatically once De'Aaron Fox gets it. You're up 3. Once De'Aaron Fox gets inside the 3-point line, you got to foul and put him on the line on that sense.
We had a last 2-minute report where Russ was given a 6th foul when he shouldn't have.
I mean, so there's that play right there. That's on Ty Lue in the coaching aspect. Same thing with James Harden. why is Russ in the game at the end of a possession, defensive possession stance at that point? And then I actually have problems with Russ at the end of games on the offensive end, because it makes it easier to double. Yes, they were doubling Kawhi, whether Russ was on the court or not, because Kawhi was crazy, absolutely insane in this game. But at the same time, it makes it so much easier. They weren't even doubling off of Russ. They doubled off of Batum, and Russ's guy went to Batum and just left Russ open. Like, they were doubling from 2 men away, basically.
Yeah.
In all that instance. Like, this was my biggest concern when they got Russ, was he's going to play end of game minutes. That's a problem for them. I think Terrence Mann's minutes going down. Eric Gordon, who was really not good in this game, but also his minutes are going to go down and everything like that. I'm not even on the Bones Highland aspect of minutes being taken, because I don't think
my question for the group: how much pressure is it when you get a player like Russell Westbrook, and how obligated are you to play? I watched this with Steve Nash.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he got a player, especially like LaMarcus Aldridge, he forced minutes when he could have got some other player out there
Nick Claxton, right? Like,
that could have been, but even then when they had him, his development was held up because he was forcing LaMarcus Aldridge into the fire. You know what I mean? Like, hey, you've been doing this. And it's the same thing. It's like, Tyler, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? Like, I understand what type of player Russell Westbrook, he definitely could be a starter anywhere, but for the sake of the success of this team, you keep Terrence Mann there, and then you find a way to slowly ease him in there. No minutes for Bones Highland, even though Bones Highland is not a defensive guy right there. But you talk about Norman Powell, Westbrook, and Plumlee being on the floor. I got a problem with that, And as great as we give Ty Lue the credit about being such a great coach, that was a flaw. That was a flaw and very incorrect right there on that situation. And I won't take away his overall success, but that exposed him right there of being caught up in the moment of,
I think this is part of the problem, though, right? Is that we look at Russ on the Lakers, and whatever you think of it, like he went to the 6-man role because that's LeBron's team, right? Like, this is what LeBron needs. As good as Kawhi is, and as buddy as he is with Paul George, that shit ain't the same.
No,
you're in the same building, but that is a very different locker room. It's a very different team. And the crazy thing about it is this team has more success and has probably higher expectations than what the Lakers have this year, right? And yet, like, he didn't sign there so he could come off the bench. He didn't sign there so he didn't close into games. And that's something where we talk about team culture. That's somewhere Ty Lue's got to be like, our best chance to win right now is this. Now, Russ made some plays. He had the great layup on the right side and everything. Like, he made some plays, but he didn't make some plays too. And I don't want to put this on him. I don't want to put this on the situation. Like, you gave 176 points. There was a lot wrong in that game, right? There was a lot right with it too. And Russ moved the ball to his credit. He turned the ball over a lot too, but he moved the ball to his credit. But that's something where that's the fear, is that it disrupts what they have. You signed him to be a pure point guard. And it may be hard for some people to figure out, but just because you get a lot of assists does not mean you move the offense.
No, not at all.
Like, not all assists are created the same. And that already was a stagnant offense, right?
I mean, to start out, the loss wasn't on Russ.
No.
I honestly, I thought it was across the board. But Trae, to your point about that, the pressure to play Russ. I mean, Russ isn't the normal buyout guy. This isn't a guy you can just be like, oh, it didn't work out, I'm just going to put him on the bench. We're just going to waive him. Didn't work out. Ty Lue was part of the group that campaigned for him to have him. So it's not clearly, like you're so he's going to play him like that. This is a thing that Ty identified that he absolutely needed from Russ with all of that stuff. And the other thing too, what people have to understand, this was against the Kings, who are not a good defensive team. Like, everything about it gets harder when you're going to play good defensive teams in this instance. And now what do you do when you have Zubac, who's healthy and playing? What do you can't play him with Plumlee. It's harder. You have 2 non-shooters now on the court at the same time. Just so many things with that. It's a challenge there with everything that they have. And then they only have 20 games in the regular season, and they didn't have defined roles to begin with because they barely had guys playing.
On the final play of the game, Kawhi has a man sealed in the paint.
Yes,
he has the biggest hands we've ever seen, the strongest hands we've ever seen. Norm Powell, what are you doing, buddy? Again, we talked about this in terms of like end of game situations. There's a lot of shit happening. There's a lot of shit to track. Kawhi sealed, arm on a defender, hand out that big ass paw out there in the middle of the paint. And Norm Powell like kind of looks and then like pump fakes and then wets himself and then throws it to Batum, who just chucked it off the backboard. I mean, like he was trying to throw it through the backboard. Like, and I'm just like, you got your man right there.
It was actually a good play call from Ty.
It was fantastic.
I just think Norm Powell saw Russ's minutes going up, going like, "Oh, my minutes might be next on the chopping block.
I need to do something here.
I need to make a shot to justify my minutes. Oh shit, I'm covered. I got to kick it out."
So the play call that was supposed to happen out of the timeout broke down.
Yeah,
and guys being robots,
Yeah.
That's it was supposed to be another thing.
Cooking in that game, man. Like we talked about Fox, who had 40. Monk had 45. Kawhi was unreal. He was unreal. He's got that big ass hand. Just that, like, no help to be seen. Even if there was, Randy Moss's ass, throw it there. He's gonna catch it, and he gets fouled or he gets a bucket or whatever.
Well, he also had 2 looks, so he didn't get it in the seal, and then he's also open before Batum chucks this joint.
I think Batum's in panic mode though at that point.
Yeah, at that point, I think Batum's like, "Why do I have the ball right now?" But man, I'm telling you, you got to go back and watch that game. Even if you're just gonna watch the last 14 minutes with the 2 overtimes, the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, it was just a truly special viewing experience. Like I was at that Rams Chiefs game from years ago. Though it was like 51-48 or whatever that ended up being. I was at that game, and at the time, I remember thinking after, like, I don't know that I'll ever experience a game like that. Granted, I wasn't at Clippers Kings, but watching it at home, I was like, this is an all-time viewing moment. It really is. And I never would have expected that out of Kings Clippers at the end of February. Never would have expected that.
That was wild. That game was absolutely absurd, though.
It was nuts.
And to your point, Zach, it wasn't bad defense. I mean, it wasn't good defense. It was just no pressure applied defense.
Right.
It was just okay, you're going here. Okay, I won't push you off the block or anything like that. With everything that went through it, that was probably the funnest game of the season. I mean, this has been a great basketball weekend.
Yeah, this week. I mean, right now, I can't believe the Bucks extended their win streak to 14 or lost their win streak of 13 as we're recording this. Who knows what happened? Anything could have happened. We got
Lakers Dallas tonight. We got Clippers Denver. Like,
oh my goodness. Yeah, maybe Denver will show up tonight because they didn't show up Saturday.
God no. Oh God no.
All right, as is customary, folks.
This was a good pod before we heard J King's voice.
Before we leave this, we have the J King's Minute now.
Are you serious? Are you? The Kings just ate an epic Kawhi Leonard performance. They just absolutely ripped apart a 14-point deficit with 4 minutes left. They just won the most exciting game in the NBA this season. They have the number 1 offense in NBA history. That was a huge win for them against the Clippers. Absolutely enormous win. I'm in Ireland right now. Don't ask me why. I woke up at 4 a.m. and was just watching it on my phone, just out of my mind, excited about the Kings. De'Aaron Fox, wow. Clutch. Malik Monk, holy shit. That was one of the greatest games I will ever see. And a huge game for seeding purposes.
And time. There were another 34 seconds on that voice note, but Jay, you know the deal.
You get a minute. Pausing from Jay. A lot of pausing from Jay. He
had no plan. He had no plan. Yeah.
This was that's 3 more seconds.
I might get divorced if I keep this, if I try to like extend this to like, I gotta write this out and everything. I'm like, they're in Ireland. Jay, good on you. He said he woke up at like 3 or 4 a.m. to watch that game. What a sicko.
On his phone, too.
On his phone. Absolute sicko. You can catch not Jay's coverage, catch Jared Weiss's coverage of the Celtics for the next however many days on The Athletic. Make sure you subscribe to all of our podcasts. Make sure you're leaving reviews. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Watch us talk. Next time Jay King is back, he'll have an Irish accent. You want to watch him talk, he'll be wearing a leprechaun uniform. I guarantee it, but you'll only find that out and watch that on the YouTube channel. You won't see it anywhere else. Make sure you subscribe to The Bounce. Bounce is our daily email newsletter to your inbox, free. It is free, and you get, about 1,000 words from me and Shams Charania every single morning, Monday through Friday, into your mailbox, let you know what you got to look out for, what you missed, and everything in between. For Trae, for Mo, I'm Zach. You want to keep it locked on The Athletic.